Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Awakening with the Girls. All right, welcome to another episode of Awakening with the Girls. I'm super excited for today's episode because I feel like we have some good stories and energy to share. I've got my friend Brooke here. Brooke, can you tell me a little bit about you and some of the things that you're into?
Yeah, hi Shannon. Thanks for having me on here. I'm into yoga and wellness and crystals and making jewelry, crafting, herbalism, gardening. So all the witchy, earthy mama stuff.
And I love it. We have a lot of things in
Yeah.
common, and it's just so fun to see another beautiful soul out there living the life and going about many a journey. So anytime I've stayed connected with you, you are always fluttering around like an earth fairy. You're in somewhere new almost every time we check in. And I would love for you to share about your experience and what it's been like for you to kind of wake up and to follow that dream to travel and explore.
Totally. Yeah. Besides my astrological chart, like on physical paper, before I ever got into learning about anything about my astrology and how my planets or the planets correspond to myself in that way. Like I basically started feeling this deep sense of adventure and wanting to expand. So that just kept on growing and growing, and the voice to travel became strong once I started awakening to the fact of I'm actually creating my reality, and why not, like, just go for it. So yeah, I just started moving to Colorado and then New Mexico and California and Oregon, and now I'm in Vermont and just went to Guatemala. So
Ooh.
it's spiraling, and I feel like I'm getting called to like vortexes. So
That's awesome. What do you think of vortexes? Let's talk about that because there's all these terms in like the spiritual awakening community, and someone who's just kind of getting into it might be overwhelmed when they start hearing about vortexes and time traveling and jumping and lucid dreaming, all these things. So I would love to know about what you consider a vortex or like an energy hotspot.
totally. I feel like in a vortex, the land is amplified. So, what you're wanting or asking for, your reality can show it really fast. It's an energy channel center that's very amplified. And it's almost like the veil is a lot thinner in those areas because the land is so activated in those points, those grid points or ley lines.
Mm.
So yeah, it's pretty trippy. It's like in a lot of those areas, it's like you think of someone and they're like immediately there, or you ask for something and it shows up that day or the next day. And yeah, basically life is an echo and we get what we put out. So in those vortexes, it's so amplified that um sorry, I just had a call I had to swipe off. Um yeah, it's almost like those echoes are even more amplified because the energy is so strong.
I love that.
And magic seems to happen there a lot.
Yeah, I definitely think there are different vortex spaces for different people, but there's some that are definitely for the collective. I know a big vortex space for me was when I left my space in the Appalachian Mountains and went up to Michigan for the first time. And I found like a huge soul tribe up there. And my partner, Suleiman, he likes to say that there's like a vortex in the Lake Michigan, and he also says there's a vortex near Mount Shasta and places like that. So I firmly believe you're onto something there with the energy in certain like grid lines and places of the earth where it makes it easier for your divine energy to manifest and kind of shift there. Now, earlier you said something about astrology and that in your chart it shows that you're kind of like a floater that goes from these different vortexes. Is astrology something that lights your fire?
Yeah, totally. The thing about astrology is I'm still learning a lot about it, and I really like to practice tuning into my own sense of self. But psychologically, like if I'm ever questioning myself or like what it is for me on my path to be doing, it helps manage that in times of doubt or just like deeper curiosity to flow better instead of going against the current. So that has sparked my interest in for a lot of reasons, but definitely on the psychological aspect and just how we work and how we work with the universe on a deeper level.
Mm,
So yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, astrology is like this wild energy roadmap to our personalities and sometimes even the timelines that we're participating in. So I think that that is really neat. I know a lot of people um, they start with horoscopes and things, and they can be very generalized. But if you look at your very specific like astrological map from like the moment you were incarnated here, it can be a really powerful experience, at least from my perspective as well.
Most definitely. Yeah. Even if people are born on a new moon or a full moon, those all tell different aspects of someone and what they're awakening to in this lifetime. So
Yeah.
astrology is a beautiful thing to tune into at times for sure.
I love it. So, what was the awakening process like for you? Did you ever have a like a period in like I know we're kind of like always awakening and learning new things, but did you ever have like a shifting point in life? You kind of mentioned earlier that when you started traveling, it like shifted you into this new timeline of experiences. But for me, I know there were a couple really key moments where I was like, "Wow, I'm having a spiritual experience. This is so much deeper than I might have ever thought."
Totally. Yeah. That's wow. It's it's powerful because I was living in Colorado and I started to go to some some shows that were really eye-opening to me. They were I almost wanted to call it a jam band shows, but it wasn't actually. It was just a lot of people that were doing those types of shows, going to shows like that. It was Newgrass. So a lot of Newgrass shows and that was opening me up to just a world of magic and the people I was hanging out with. And I was working at Nordstrom at the time as a personal stylist. And I just kept on getting this feeling like I can't be in this box anymore. Like I wanted to expand out. So I moved back to Florida and I was going through some periods of anxiety and depression and definitely confusion at the time. And my aunt told me to go to this free yoga class in the park with a teacher that she really liked, Leslie Glickman in Boca Raton, Florida. And that just really took off my whole spiritual awakening and tuning into the drum circle back home in Florida and meeting some really magical people and having goddess gatherings and vegan potlucks. And so the yoga and meditation courses I was taking and meeting all these magical people really set off my awakening. So
I love it.
it's a big attunement.
Did you ever really do yoga or anything before that, or was this kind of your first entry into even like that kind of world?
Yeah, my sister in high school, she read in the newspaper that my high school was doing yoga classes outside of school time. So she took my friend and I to yoga and we actually just we had a really great time. And at the end they were doing all these chantings and mantra Sanskrit words, and we actually all just started laughing uncontrollably in class. There was something that just got released from us, and we were just laughing, and it was a really sweet time, and it was like my one time with yoga ever. And then I went probably about 8, it could have been even 10 years, maybe it was like 8 years actually after, and that's when I started going to those yoga classes.
Beautiful.
So
That's really awesome.
yeah.
I'm glad you got to explore that. Now, you do a lot of other really magical things for the community. What were some of the things that you were working on when you traveled over to Guatemala?
Yeah, definitely. That was a really amazing experience. I raised money for the local indigenous people there. Some people in a very large family was able to receive money. Actually, I raised money and then bought these medicines for them. But for parasites, there's a lot of parasites and
Mm.
bacteria that comes from the water and the food in Guatemala. So a lot of the local people have these roots of herbalism, but they just don't remember. So they've been really stripped from a lot of their culture. So through raising this money, there was able to be funding to get local, actually it was, they were locally grown herbs and medicines for the some of the people that were there. And yeah, I fostered a dog while I was there. There's a lot of dogs on the street without homes or food, so as often as I could, I would take care of. I had one dog that was with me for 6 weeks, but take care of the local dogs and feed them because they were also starving, and
Oh.
so
You also,
yeah.
I've seen you have a few different kinds of like wearable or accessory type art that has been handmade in Guatemala. Is that what I've been seeing on your feed? Is that something you're a part of?
Totally. So actually the family that was able to be gifted the medicine, which is a totally synchronistic and amazing story in itself, how that connected. But there's this family of women, three generations that sit on one of the areas in the market by the water, Lake Atitlan in San Marcos, Guatemala, and it's a grandmother and two sisters that are there, and they crochet and weave, and so they're the ones that were receiving the medicine from me, but I knew them before because of their vending, and they make the most amazing weaving, uh, tapestries and blankets and shawls and crocheted water bottles and purses and beautiful, beautiful work.
I love it. Yeah, they were very colorful and they caught my attention, and I definitely wanted to give a shout out to that so that we can keep sending good vibes their way, because there's so many people in the world right now that just could use some good vibes. So I think that what you're doing is beautiful and you're helping them survive. So that's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. Now, I kind of want to open it up for you to be able to share anything that really lights your fire, or any advice that you might would have for me or anybody that's going through a spiritual awakening or even a spiritual hardship and may just kind of feel stuck or confused. Maybe even advice for your younger self. What would you tell somebody who's just stuck?
Totally. I think for me, the biggest nemesis that I experienced was overthinking and being over critical of myself, like being in my head. So the biggest thing I could tell anyone is just really a part of the spiritual awakening is really just attuning to spirit. So doing the things that will bring you closer to that source within yourself. It's not outside of you, it's within you. And so really tuning in through breathing, listening, through taking a walk, nature, gardening, just the simple human things that we can all do. Like literally cooking could be the biggest spiritual awakening,
Mm.
for someone, just really tuning into their ancestors through cutting their vegetables and making a beautiful meal. So really for me, a lot of it had to do with being confused or overthinking, uh, like who I was supposed to be or what I was supposed to be doing, when really the path is truly just living from your heart, doing what you enjoy and awakening to your mission, just asking yourself, like, what is it that I'm here for, and getting those answers, and just trusting and knowing that this is what is for you, and for you to awaken for the collective. And it's not a rush, just taking it one step at a time, one day at a time, and having these big dreams and goals for yourself, but really just, yeah, the best I could say is just being true to yourself, like being your authentic self is the best medicine along a spiritual journey.
So true. It's so
Yeah.
easy for us to like get stuck in our heads. And I know that there's been so many times that there's been like a spiritual experience or a like an event that I wanted to go to, like when you went to yoga for the first time in like 10 years. That was probably going out of your comfort zone and you were in a rough space. So it's really good that you were able to do that, and it opened up like a whole new experience for you. And I'm sure that I personally would have jumped into my spiritual experience even earlier or deeper if I wouldn't have been afraid to attend something that was speaking to my soul. I think I was also really afraid to kind of like research certain things because I didn't know where to start. So I'm kind of curious if you have any suggestions for like resources or a topic of interest to kind of spark something within somebody else. I know for me, reading was really big, and just kind of finding good books and things like that.
Wow, yeah, I love that actually. Well, I could say that this is actually, I'm creating a website. It's Cosmic Earth Wellness, so it's going to be a hub for a lot of this. So that's a great question, and giving me some more fuel to that fire. But for me, I actually started connecting to a lot of pages on Facebook when I was younger. So I would just uh, trying to think of an example, but just basically the things that I was becoming interested in.
Mm.
Uh, a lot of pages like on awakening or astrology, numerology. So I would start to follow that. And as well, like what you said about reading books, the book The Alchemist is a great
Ah,
book for
yeah, it is.
someone really just starting, yeah, on a spiritual journey and awakening to their truth deeper within. That's a powerful book, The Alchemist. And so definitely through books, and also just really starting somewhere. So it's like today, if you're wanting to maybe go try that yoga class, even if it's just like on a Zoom call for right now, or online, that's a really great way to tune in. And um yeah, like it's like I'm trying to think of things that are happening right now. Like
I
I would have
understand.
said, if anything is open, because there's some limitations right now on events or things
Mm.
like that. But for me, it was like I went to a drum circle, and that opened up this whole realm of possibilities through seeing people doing poi arts and hooping, and started learning from these people who were very awakened at the time.
Yeah,
So
there's been a lot of like online festivals. We started an online festival called Shine Online about 4 years ago, and it was kind of like new then, and people weren't necessarily as into it because they wanted to get out and be in person. But now, um, since so many things have been kind of limited for just the safety of others, and interaction has went virtual, there's a lot of different online festivals coming up, so many different workshops. I feel like I sign up for so many workshops a day. I'm putting myself through spiritual school just following people that are interesting to me, like you said. But it's, I think you're really onto something there, and just like following your heart and not being afraid to search it and follow it on Facebook. Facebook groups is something I've more recently gotten into. I'm old school, and back in like MySpace days, there were like different forums and like specific websites, but my Facebook has kind of been like the general hub. I'm so excited to hear more about your Cosmic Earth Wellness because it sounds like it's very in alignment with Bring Me to Life, and maybe we can like cross promote and help each other there. So I
totally.
fully am so excited for that. So I guess my other question is, other than just resources, maybe a practice. Do you have like a daily routine or maybe a simple practice that you could explain to somebody wanting to enhance their day today or any day?
Totally. So I love making tea. That's like the most beautiful sacred experience I have throughout the day as something that is consistent. So just either making, I like to use a French press and put all my teas in there, or putting them in a mate cup and using the bamboo mate straw. So I love picking out the herbs, and lately I've been tuning into cacao as
Yeah.
well. So I'm making myself a cup of cacao throughout the day, and that's beautiful. And having a meditation practice, even if it's for 5 minutes, is amazing. And if you've really never tuned into meditation, even just tuning in to the moment of now by just breathing. I like to even just gaze outside of the window and looking at the trees and just taking a few moments to just, well, more than moments. I'm a Taurus. I really like to just indulge in sit around sometimes and yeah, just stare out the window. And even if you can just get into a habit of moving your body through dancing, putting on some good music, of course some yoga, but these are all things that I like to do. And also just basking in the glory of brushing my teeth and looking in the mirror and telling myself positive loving things to myself. It's such a beautiful practice. So
Those are all so great. I love them
thank you.
all. No, that's so cool. I right before we got on the call, I actually made myself a little cup of cacao and I did a little like blessing over it because I love that you brought up tea and cacao and like creating a ceremonial drink for yourself each day and that's kind of your ritual because the fluids, the liquids, the foods, everything that we put in our body is so important. And I didn't used to think about it at all. Like I grew up in a home where they would sometimes say prayer before meals, sometimes they wouldn't, and it never really clicked why sometimes they would, sometimes they wouldn't. But for me, it's like about the intention of wanting whatever kind of food or drink I'm putting in my body to have a good vibration. So if you're making food and you're angry or you're frustrated, you're kind of putting that into your body. So even if I'm flustered or whatever, when I'm making it, when I sit down, I will bless it and I will hold my cup of cacao kind of by my heart space and just visualize like, okay, I need strength today. I need some focus. I need some stability because it's been a very kind of like anxious and scattered day. And just kind of putting that into my tea or my cacao so that it like nourishes my body has been so, so grounding for me. So I love that you brought that up.
Totally. I love what you said about just blessing. And even if you had a weird feeling or moments before that, I do the same thing. It's like if I catch myself making food when I'm feeling anxious or scared or something like that, I sit down and consciously just remember to praise what I just created and change that energy and frequency. And even more while I'm cooking, it's like beautiful to make a whole thing about it, lighting a candle and listening to some really good music and just basking in the glory of being human and just cutting your food and preparing a healthy meal. And yeah, that's such a beautiful and grounding practice and attunement. And I really noticed this has really helped me connect to my ancestry as well. So that's a huge part along the spiritual journey, to connect to your roots and maybe even learn like what your ancestors would make and tune into that vibration. And
Is there any sort of way that you connect with your ancestors deeper? Do you do it through meditation? Do you like research different types of areas for the foods, or how do you connect with your ancestors?
totally. Well, I feel like I get a lot of signs of confirmation where I just hear this message of good job. So it's like when I'm making some jewelry and I just feel really proud of myself, I can really feel my ancestors with me. And when I take the time to make those meals, I feel them with me. And it's it's more of a feeling like I can feel them being proud of me. And there's also a deeper reason, because from what I've researched or know about my ancestry is they were they made things. So there were people in my family that were jewelry makers or shoemakers or creative in that way. And also I don't know the stories of like fully of people cooking. I just know little bits and pieces of that. But those two aspects, getting creative and cooking or just homesteading, it's like those are the moments when I can really feel them with me. It's like I can almost just feel that attunement again of being human in those experiences of creativity and humanness of being a homemaker. Those are when I get the biggest affirmations, or when I'm gardening in a garden.
I love
So
that.
yeah,
I'm so excited
and
for my
and
garden this year too. So I completely resonate.
totally.
Completely resonate. Gardening
Totally.
has been super grounding for me. As somebody who's been kind of on my awakening journey for a while, it's something I've always admired, but I never had the time because I personally I keep busy, I hustle, I bustle, and it's a way of me kind of working through a lot of energy that channels through me. And being able to garden as much as I wanted to, I didn't have time. So though a lot of things are kind of shut down right now and we can't go out to those kind of community events, being able to connect with the earth and the elements in a different way has been magical. Like I even went out yesterday, it was pouring rain, but I knew that the ground would be soft so I could like get it to the way I wanted it for when it starts to dry out to plant things. So it was like, it's raining, that's okay. Like I can go out and just enjoy this elements and play. And it's really just beautiful to feel that, like you said, the spirits of the ancestors around us. And I think that it's beautiful that you channel that, you said, through your making as well. So do you think that that's why you create jewelry?
Yeah, it just feels so instinctual to me to create jewelry, making jewelry. I feel really grounded and nourished when I work with the beads, with the gemstones, the crystals, all the material. It's something that really connects me to myself. I lose track of time, and I just feel a sense of enjoyment and fulfillment, and I love creating that for other people as well. Um, a lot of times I keep for myself, but I also make for other people. And yeah,
Do you have
this
a
this
do you
is
have a favorite like crystal or series of crystals or anything you like to use? I know you also use a lot of stones, and most people listening know I love stones and crystals and jewelry. So I'm always curious, like who I'm talking to, like what's their favorite crystal or combination of energy?
totally. Well, lately I've been working with these are crystals not on my jewelry. Oh, actually, no, I can't say that. I do work with these on my jewelry. So I was gonna say emerald and rose quartz.
Mm,
So I have a really big piece of rose quartz that I sleep with and an emerald as well. But I actually did just make a necklace with emerald, and that's my birthstone. So it's a lot of abundant energy, earthy, loving energy, and rose quartz is just such a beautiful crystal for anyone for love and opening their heart. So, but in my jewelry, I've been using a lot of jasper. So like tons of types of jasper. That's what I've been picked up or tuned into, and turquoise as well.
I love that. And
Yeah.
um, I'm glad you brought up emeralds. I don't know, they're probably not open in this current moment in time, but you should totally check out the Emerald Hollow mines when the globe starts interacting with communities again. They're in North Carolina, and I got to basically mine for my own emeralds, and it was super magical experience.
Wow, that's amazing.
You should
In
totally.
Wow, I would love to do that.
I was gonna say it's
That
in North
sounds
Carolina.
great.
It was near
Yeah,
Charlotte,
totally.
Emerald Hollow Mines. I went for my birthday like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. We were going to a concert, and I looked up campgrounds near the concert in Charlotte, and it was about an hour away that there was this mines that you could go, and you could either sift for your own crystals, or you could get a bucket and kind of go through it that way, and they already had kind of dug it up for you. And there was a campground like right up the road from them. So my partner and I, we went and we kind of camped out in our little van, had a nice experience. We woke up, we went and mined for crystals, and then we had those crystals with us and got to go to the concert and charge them up. And it was just such a beautiful experience that I feel like you would love to check out when the time is right for that. So Emerald Hollow Mine,
Oh my gosh.
So, yay.
I love that. And I love when you said when the time is ripe. That's so, yes.
It's so
That
key.
sounds fabulous. I'd love that to go
So
there.
key.
Yes.
So you make jewelry and you use crystals too, and I would love for you to give a shout out. How do people find you? Where are you in the internet, or where are you in the world? How can people connect with you, and what should they connect with you for, if anything?
Totally. I love creating custom pieces for people, and I'm always constantly just creating things out of the inspired momentum that is running through me as well. So I offer my pieces online through Facebook and Instagram. So it's my Facebook is my name, Brooke Berger, Berger, and I also have a Instagram and Facebook for my business as well, which is Cosmic Earth Wellness. And I'll always post on there, and I am working on my website, so there'll be links to all my jewelry and crafts and yoga and sound healing offerings and things of that nature. And I might do Etsy, so I'm thinking about creating an Etsy account as well. I
Okay.
already have one. I just, if I want to post all the things to it. So
I completely understand. Etsy has been a rough spot for me as an artist, especially since I started my awakening experience, because they went very commercy and less about helping the artist. So I completely understand where there's a hesitation there to post things. I've taken most of my things off of Etsy and have kind of stayed towards my personal website. So if there's anyone out there that's wondering um, why people may have been on Etsy and then maybe not, it's because they charge a lot of fees, and you really help artists, spiritual guides, healers, anything like that by going to their personal website or hitting them up directly. So I strongly urge people to hit you up directly as possible to help you out more than big corporations.
okay, yeah, and I think that there's always like a reason for whatever the reason why maybe I haven't started that up or not, but definitely my website is going to be more activated in the next month, as well as a blog on there as well. But I'm always, yeah, always sharing on both of my pages on Instagram and Facebook. So
That's exciting. I saw you're looking for more
yeah.
writing opportunities. And if anyone else is looking for more writing opportunities, Bring Me to Life is accepting articles. We're working on accepting articles from the collective and also finding some people to regularly be a part of our team. And that can be cross promoted content from your website to ours that's uplifting and inspiring, that could really help the tribe as a whole. So I would love to talk to you more further about that in the future, but just kind of wanted to give that shout out here on the podcast too, so that other people know that we would love to get articles on gratitude or spiritual experience you had, or a meditation practice, or ritual, any sort of thing that might light someone's fire. Right now I'm looking for things for like motivation and helping people kind of through the grief process that we're all collectively going through. So I think that everything you're doing is really beautiful. And is there anything else at all that you feel channeling through you that you wish to share with the universe at this time?
Thank you. I really am putting myself out there as a life coach and a counselor for people. So if there's anyone going through any confusion or anxiety, or they're just not sure what what everything means right now, or at any time in life, or they're wanting to activate their business and they just need some extra support, or wanting to better understand themselves and how the universe works, these are all ways that I can connect and co-create, as well as reflect someone's power back to them. So a lot of the work that I do with people is really, I like to call it mirror activation. So I'm able to tune into people's power and purpose through intuitive guidance, as well as simply just having a conversation with someone and reflecting back to them their power and truth. And I'm able to assist and walk people through their journey and create a more sense of safety and stability within themselves. And again, this is just my intention is to assist people as well as awaken that power, that their superpowers. We have a friend, Philo, or um, Kevin May. He says he has a book on superpowers, awake unlocking your superpowers. So we all have these powers within us, and sometimes it just takes someone to reflect that and show that to you, or dig deep, uh, and help someone, because we can't always do it alone, and we can become interdependent beings that we can remember ourselves as these interdependent beings, but we are in a symbiotic relationship with other people to heighten that love frequency and that co-creation frequency. So really just awakening to the puzzle pieces that we are is my mission in life, and here to support people individually and the collective. And this is what I'm awakening within myself, and this is what's been really powerful on my journey. So I just feel to share this with others in micro or macro ways. And
I love it. That's so
weaving.
beautiful.
Yeah,
So beautiful.
definitely.
We're going to definitely have to get you on another episode of Awakening with the Girls, because anytime you have any sort of just inspirational guidance that you want to share, or maybe if you have a program or things like that, we'll have to get you back on, because I've really enjoyed our conversation, and I want people to be able to stay in alignment and check in with you. And they can do
Thank
so. Yeah, no problem. They can do so at Cosmic Earth Wellness on Instagram. Is that one of the best ways to reach you, you think?
Cosmic Earth Wellness. Yes, I was using my own page until actually maybe just last week. I just got the momentum make the Instagram. So I've already had the Facebook up, but the Instagram's there, and like I said, the website is in the works. So hopefully in the next month that's going to be active. But yes, Cosmic Earth Wellness on Instagram or Facebook. You can message me, I'll respond quickly. And definitely offering free consulting conversations with people if they want to better understand the work that I'm doing and connect on that level. So you could always message me about that. And yeah, I really appreciate what you're doing. This is such a beautiful show to be had and brought to light, and I enjoyed talking with you and weaving with you, and definitely excited to see what else is unfolding. I love all the work that you're doing and what you offer and share through your creativeness, and seeing your gardening and having these shows for inspiration and connection. It's just really wonderful. And I wanted to touch on something that you said before about different networks of like where people could go or what people could do along their spiritual journey. And it's like sometimes it just takes one choice and one thing to do that will open up a whole network of possibilities. So it's like if you wanted to go take that yoga class, and even if it is online or something like that right now, it's like just connecting with that one teacher or that one situation, or maybe it's like a Zoom call that you're having for like a gathering. There's a lot of free apothecary events that are on Zoom right now. So learning about herbalism, it's like taking that one step will just open people up to a whole network of possibilities. It's like one thing opens to the next thing, to the next thing, and then it's just like, whoa, I remember who I am and what I'm interested in, and all those things fuel someone's fire and passion. So
Yes, it's synchronicity at its finest. It's like once it opens up the door and you're willing to accept it, it just keeps on leading you to where you need to be if you're willing to follow the vibes and to show up and to remember, like just like you said, remember who you are. That's really what it's all about, is remembering who you are without allowing others to really put that weight on your shoulders of their expectations of you. So I think that is that's a magical way to kind of like leave people off, is to remember who they are. And if they need help remembering who they are, they can reach out to you or me or somebody they feel really comfortable with. But I highly suggest that they check you out at Cosmic Earth Wellness. That sounds so cosmic.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that name came to me in New Mexico, in one of the vortex spots in Taos, New Mexico, where I was living, and I just sat and meditated and prayed and asked for a name, and it was just that simple. And I tried to tweak the name and change it a little bit to like earthly wellness, or like putting an ly on it, and there was no domain name that I could use. It was all taken, and then I just came back to the original one that spirit guided me to. So this is what I'm working with now, and it's domains are open for that name. So I bought the .com and all of that. So it's meant to
Yeah.
be.
All about
Ask
that
and you shall
divine time.
receive.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Divine timing. I mean, there was a long time where I was trying to shift my websites and different things too, and I always ended up going back to Shantastic Shine. And it just, when something finds you and it sticks, you'll know. I had a friend that told me that too. He was like, when you figure out what your like space name or your spiritual name or whatever you want your name to resonate with is, you'll just feel it and you'll just keep going back to it. So I love that you shared that that was something that you originally felt really drawn to. It took a journey with you and you came right back to it, and it's still growing very much with you and helping you find out who you are.
Totally. And I think that's the whole thing about thinking. It's like sometimes we can get in our own way. And it's like if we just let the answers and the messages come through, and we can just trust ourselves, like deepen this trust, like muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just try not to tweaking it too much. It's like just letting it come through. That's what's really profound. So
Beautiful. Well, you have
thank
so
you.
many amazing stories. I'm going to talk to CeeLo about getting you on a future roundtable for the actual Bring Me to Life podcast, which I hope you have a chance to join us for. And if anyone's listening and wants to check out more inspirational people, we've been doing roundtables where we just kind of have a topic of discussion and go around the circle, the community spiritual circle, and share our experiences. So even if you don't hop on a roundtable, if you want to hop on another episode of Awakening with the Girls, I'm going to give you some homework and think of your 3 to 5 most spiritual experiences you've had. And I want you to reach back out to me so we can get you back on an episode. How's that sound?
Beautiful. I love that. Yep. This
Yeah.
is great. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate being here with you, talking to you.
I appreciate you too, and taking time in your day and space and timeline to just be here and be present. So I thank you. I thank whoever's listening. And until next time, I hope you stay awake, shine on always. Check out bringme2life.com with the number 2, and check out Cosmic Earth Wellness and Brooke and all the amazing things that she's doing.
Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate you.
Thank
You're
you.
such a cosmic sister, such an earthy cosmic sister. Thank you for you.
Thank you. Thank you. And to all the other sisters out there listening, I hope you guys stay awake, shine on always, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for shining on with us.